Times history becomes ugly, especially when they build open air pipes just to show them to the European technocrats and officers. The scheme is quite clear. We have analyzed the construction of any such European infrastructures, and then they remain empty for some 70% of them. And when Russia is building up a new project such as Nord Stream 2, then quite clearly we start wondering where is the gas coming from, because then there is no understanding, only too often, of where the gas is coming from and where is it going to. So from that viewpoint, Russia is taking part in the construction of any such new infrastructures in the territory of the European Union. And as we've said, Nord Stream 2 should reach Italy. That's where we will have to create new interconnections. And in this sense, I'd like to ask a question to Marco. Would you say that when the gas infrastructure will be created and become available in Europe, is that going to be a negative thing for Europe? Would you feel threatened as representatives of infrastructure companies or not?
Infrastructure should be more and more open and neutral. I think the creation of an energy union means exactly that. The third directive goes in that direction, making sure that who runs and builds and operates the infrastructure doesn't have any conflict in trying to prevent the gas to flow. Certainly, there will be an issue regarding the new flows that I showed in the map. So there will be infrastructure that no longer has flows. If I think of the interconnector in the UK, it was a very strategic pipeline that was always full. Now the flows have changed between the UK and the continent, so the UK is no longer exporting gas, so this very strategic pipeline has significant less flows. So I think it's for the experts and policymakers to really work together to invest where there are the bottlenecks, and we've tried to show them on that chart, as opposed to investing just to chase some new sources of gas. I think an integrated Europe will function a lot better. I think that's not enough. We still need additional import infrastructure to come from outside of Europe, from Russia into Europe. I think a balanced approach where you have southern gas coming from Russia into Turkey or into Europe is very positive, because it goes to supply all those regions in Eastern Europe where on my chart you see a lot of dots, because there's many projects in Eastern Europe that have not gone ahead, that were somewhat linked to the South Stream project, that are now basically on standby. So a number of these countries don't have solidarity, don't have the ability to move gas between each other. So I would think, answering your question, to the contrary, we're not concerned. Infrastructure is needed, but is needed in a very coherent and well-designed way. Thank you.
Спасибо большое. Но у нас есть еще время на вопросы из зала. Пожалуйста. Поднимайте руки, представляйтесь и говорите, кому вопрос, если конкретный вопрос, пожалуйста.
Can you hear?
There is no translation into Russian.
Да io вообще ни на каком языке не слышно.
Mi scusi. Sono Paolo Ghirelli, rappresento...
My name is Pablo Ghirelli. I represent the Bonatti company, Italian company, building up pipelines, and that was part of the construction of our own project, Imono. This is why I was listening with great interest. I was listening to the illustration and presentation of our project in Due, and I'd like to ask some questions. For this project, the so-called final investment decision, was that already taken or not? And if yes, what is the timing? How long will it take before the project will get started?
In a nutshell, Nord Stream 1, we have not the final investment decision. If you look in the investments or the contracts which are signed already, The pipelay contract will be signed at the end of the year. The volume is above 2 billion. The piped contracts are signed above 2 billion. The coating and storage contracts are signed. So at the end, the main financial decisions are made. So the project has been already started. We are since 1 year in operation. We have new offices in Zug, Switzerland. We are fully equipped with computers, stuff, everything. So are we working 24 hours, 7 days a week.
Пожалуйста, да. Да. Микрофон не забывайте говорить, а то перевода нет.
Remember to speak in the microphone, because otherwise no translation will be available. Please, thank you.
Слышно? Да. Еще раз представлюсь. Ашот Григорян.
Let me introduce myself. My name is Grigorian. I'm a president and CEO of the holding of European Union Russia Financing Center. We work in Slovakia, and we work actively work in the region of Northern Caucasus region and in Iran. Today, I didn't hear any special comments referring to Iran. We have a program, and let me present it briefly. Probably you know that there is a pipeline with Armenia. Our objective is the one of extending the pipeline, passing through Georgia, and seeing the possibility of connecting with the South Stream. Now, I believe that this is an excellent diversification. I was working in Iran, in Bulgaria. The governments are highly interested, and I'd like to know what is your assessment. I here am addressing Mr. Alvera and Mr. Michelson. Would you say that it is going to be possible to have this program implemented through the South Stream together with Gazprom, oriented towards Europe, well knowing that there already is a market and an Eastern Ring, and that we started working for the supply of Central Europe? Mr. Michelson, maybe you'd like to connect to the natural gas. Maybe you could connect on that and comment on that. Let's get started with Marco Alvera.
What we read on the newspaper on October 10, there was a signature of Turkish Stream with one line and maybe a second line. So to think of a route to go from Iran to Georgia to Russia and then back down into Turkey, it may be at that point easier to go from Iran to Turkey directly, but we haven't looked at these projects in any detail, so I cannot comment more than that.
Леонид Викторович.
Я отвечу коротко на вопрос, который...
I shall endeavor to be brief when answering. There's much talk about the liberalization of gas export through the pipeline. This is probably why the question was addressed to me. We are indeed very proud to develop the Yamal project for liquid LNG, but I'm not going to pass a judgment on joint export. Now, with reference to the Iranian gas export by means of the Russian pipelines, well, this hasn't been covered as yet. More questions? Good morning. My name is Stefano Patrizzi. Together with Bonatti, we were involved in the designing and supply of material of Nord Stream and South Stream. Well, as a matter of fact, part of the answer has already been given, but let me focus on something. 31.1 billion cubic meter per year would be the flow rate of our of the pipeline. Isn't that the risk that with a gas treatment station that is already there, that is already ready for the startup, don't you think that the Nord Stream 2 is delayed because of that?
No, I don't see this possibility. The time schedule of Nord Stream 2 is, let's name it like this, extremely tough. So we are at the end of 16, and we will start, as you have seen on the timeline, latest at the end of 19 with the first transport to Europe. So we are not affected with this, whatever you name as a southern corridor. There are a lot of corridors entering the European energy market, so this is not our cup of tea.
Коллеги, ну, я думаю, что мы будем постепенно завершать.
But perhaps we can draw the conclusions because it's late already. So I think that we should thank all our speakers for their contributions. I firmly believe that our partnership in the energy field will go on, and I hope that the political problems can be overcome as well. Thank you.